Now, in this session, we will discuss about design aspect of Android applications. That is, how to design your Android applications or screens. In the initial sessions, we understood that each screen is made up of lot of small rectangular boxes called as views. Now, in this session, I will discuss about different views available to support designing your screen. In order to understand this, let me draw view hierarchy, which can also be called as view class hierarchy diagram. Our view class hierarchy will look like this. Only for my explanation convenience, I have applied different colors for three classes. If you observe carefully, all these elements are starting with capital letters. There is no space, which means all these elements are predefined classes of Android software which is used to design your screen. So based on different requirements, we will use different elements to design our screens. Now let me categorize this view class hierarchy into three major portions. Again, if you observe carefully, the topmost element is view class. View is a parent class for any type of design element. That means whether you take text view or button or view group or any type of layout, for every design element, the topmost parent class is view class. Let me divide this view class hierarchy into three major portions, which I will discuss one by one. First portion is the top left hand side elements, that is text view, edit text button, checkbox, radio button, web view, image view, YouTube view, and so on. There are hundreds of views are there, which I will discuss one by one based on our project requirement. So far we have discussed only about text view, button and edit text. In my ongoing sessions, I will be discussing about how to use radio button, checkbox, how to use a web view to display websites, how to use image views to display images, and how to use YouTube view to display YouTube videos, and so on. That is, these elements are considered as first category. Second category is view group. Again, view group is divided into two parts, layouts and adapter views. After discussing about first category elements, then I will show how to use view groups and layouts. So this is second category. And then finally, we will discuss about adapter views and all child elements of adapter views, that is list view, spinner, gallery, view pager, grid view, expandable list view, auto complete text view and recycler view. Remember, since I don't have space, I am writing auto complete text view in new line, but it is a single word. That is third category. First category is considered as individual elements. Second category is considered as group elements, because if you observe linear layout, relative layout and so on, for all these classes, the parent class is view group. That means these are all considered as group elements. As the name itself suggests, view group elements. The meaning is, if your screen contains multiple elements, in that case, you have to use one of these view groups or one of these layouts. That's why, if you remember our XML file, the root element of any XML file is a layout. In case if your screen contains only one element, in that case you can go for first category, that is individual elements. And finally, coming to adapter views, in case if you want to design some complex screen or complicated screen, in that case we will go for adapter views. Out of this, adapter views are very important. Again, in adapter views, list view is very popular view and which is the foremost important view. Let me highlight few important points here before proceeding. In the layout section, the absolute layout is deprecated. Deprecated means removed from the software and it is not suggestible to use. It is an important interview question also. Which layout is deprecated? DEPRECATED. Deprecated means removed and strongly discouraged to use. That is absolute layout. So I will not be teaching about absolute layout. Again, in adapter views, there are 8 adapter views. In that, again, the third adapter view, gallery, is deprecated. In place of gallery, we will be using view pager. So view pager is a replacement for gallery. And again, recycler view, the last adapter view, is a new concept introduced in Android 5.0 version, that is Lollipop. Anyway, in this session, first I will start with the first category. Since for any design element, the topmost parent designing element is view, so first I will cover in this session the common properties of view which you can apply on any design element. So whatever the properties I am going to cover now, you can apply those properties on text view, or button, or checkbox, or linear layout, relative layout, or list view, spinner, and so on. Remember, the parent class for list view is adapter view, the parent class for adapter view is view group, and the parent class for view group is view class. Now, with this basic understanding, let us see the common properties of views which you can apply on any design element. In the initial sessions, I have already discussed 4 basic common properties of any view. I will revise one more time those 4 basic common properties by taking one example. Let us say this is my screen which contains 2 views. First view is button which displays click here. Second view is text view. Now we know that screen designs will be done in the resource folder and in the layout folder with an XML file. Now imagine that our XML file will look like this, with the name activity_main.xml. We know that as per our previous sessions, every XML screen design file will contain a root element with a name layout. We know that in order to design the screen properly, the root element should be linear layout. As I told you in the previous session, if your screen contains multiple elements, we should use one layout. Since our screen contains 2 elements, button and text view, so obviously we need a layout. So preferably I will take linear layout. Tell me what's the orientation of this linear layout. Since all the elements are attached to y-axis, observe, button is also attached to y-axis and the text view is also attached to y-axis. That means orientation is vertical. Remember, if all elements are attached to y-axis, orientation vertical. If all elements are attached to x-axis, orientation is horizontal. Here if you observe, only button is attached to x-axis. Text view is not touching x-axis. It is touching only y-axis. Generally in the phone, this is considered as y-axis and this is considered as x-axis. So based on that rule, so orientation for our screen is vertical. Anyway, I'll discuss more about layouts later. And this is end of linear layout. As of now, don't worry too much about layouts. Now, since the first element of our screen is button, so obviously the first tag in our XML file will be button, which looks like this, button. Every element will have a corresponding starting tag and a corresponding ending tag with a backslash. It is exactly like HTML code. If you don't know HTML, don't worry. Now, within this button tag, I will write 4 common properties which we have seen already. That is width, height, text and ID, which looks like this. Every property contains 2 components. Left hand side is property name and right hand side is value. Generally, value should be in the double quotation. First property is Android:layout width, which says how much width is being occupied by this button on the screen. As I told you already, for width and height properties, there are 2 different values, either wrap content or match parent. So tell me what is the width of this button. This button is not occupying complete parent screen width. It is occupying only the content width. You have only this much content, so width is only that much. So obviously width is wrap_content. It is a predefined keyword. Similarly, height of this button is also only content height. You are having only this much content, so height is also only that much. So for height also it is wrap content. In case if the width of your view is match parent, you can put match underscore parent. Text property says what is to be displayed on the screen. Button is displaying click here. So in the text property I'll put click here. Tell me what is the purpose of ID. ID is a unique name which is used to refer a view from Java code. So generally IDs will start with @ plus symbol, that is syntax, ID slash. So you can give anything. Let us say button1. This is the unique name for this rectangular box button. Remember, in a given XML file, the ID should not be duplicated. For this button, we are using ID as button1. You should not use same ID for other views. Similarly, let me write 4 properties. Similarly, let me write text view also with 4 properties. Tell me what is the width. Width is now match parent, because the width of text view is matching the width of entire screen. So it is match parent. Remember an important point. Just like wrap content and match parent, in place of match parent, we used to use a different term before Android 2.1 version, that is fill parent, FILL underscore parent. But due to some reason, from 2.2 version onwards, they have removed that term and they have replaced and they have given a better name called as, from 2.2 version, in place of fill parent, they have given a better name called as match parent, due to whatever the reason it may be. So don't use fill parent, though both are same. Use match parent. Similarly, height of text view is wrap content. Text is welcome to Palle. That is what is displayed on the text view. Welcome to Palle! Exclamatory mark. Even this text view should also contain some ID. Android colon ID equal to @ plus ID slash. You can give anything. Let me give text view 1 and end of text view tag. Remember, out of these 4 properties, I will mark the mandatory properties. The mandatory properties are only width and height. That means you cannot use any view without width and height, whereas text and ID is not mandatory. So again here also width and height properties are mandatory. Other things are not mandatory. They are optional. Even for layouts also, the mandatory properties are width and height. Now for width property and height property, along with the wrap content and match parent, you can specify in terms of pixels also. There is a short form for pixel, that is px. Px for pixel. That means in place of width wrap content, I can also say in double quotation 100 pixels. Here pixels means dots. Let me explain more about pixels. Same thing you can apply for height also. Pixel can also be referred as px, small letter, as a short form. Generally, every device will contain lot of small dots like this. These dots are called as pixels. So the actual definition of pixel is the smallest drawable unit or the smallest measurable unit on the phone is called as pixel. Just like in the real world, we will have the smallest measurable unit is milligrams and milliliters. Similarly, here it is pixels. I have written same definition here. Generally, by joining all these dots, we can form pictures. We can display images. For example, if I want to draw letter A, we can join dots like this. So it looks like this, though it is not clearly visible for user, but programmatically, internally your LCD display will join multiple pixels or multiple dots to display a picture or a letter. For example, if you take a smartphone of diagonal length 5 inches, let us say this is my smartphone and let us say this is a Samsung phone or maybe LG phone. Generally phones can be measured in 2 different ways. Either it can be measured with a diagonal length in terms of inches. For example, probably its diagonal length is 5 inches, which is considered as the starting range of smartphones. Or else you can also measure a phone in terms of pixels, that is total how many number of pixels are there in each row. For example, let us say this smartphone contains total 480 pixels on each row, which can be represented as 480px. Similarly, this smartphone may have 640 pixels on each column. When you club these two things, can you tell me total how many number of pixels are there on your screen? 640 multiplied by 480, because each row contains 480 pixels. Like that, you have total 640 pixels vertically and 480 pixels horizontally. So this can also be called as resolution. Have you ever heard the term resolution? Let me write here. Guess what is the meaning of resolution? Total number of pixels on your phone is called as resolution. If somebody asks what is the size of your phone, either you can tell in the terms of diagonal inches or else in the terms of resolution. That is, in this case it is 640 by 480. Same thing can be mentioned on the user manual. When you purchase a phone, they will give a manual. On the manual you can observe the resolution of your phone. Remember, the higher the resolution, the bigger the phone, which means images can be displayed on the bigger area. Now coming back to width, let us say in place of wrap content, programmer has mentioned 100 pixels, and imagine that our phone width is 200 pixels. Tell me how much size it will occupy. 100 pixels means half of the screen size. So your button will occupy only half of the screen size, and a click here will fit here, and a click here, the text will look like this. Similarly, for height property also you can give in terms of pixels. But giving width and height in terms of pixels is considered as a bad design. I will explain in the next session why it is a bad design. I hope you understood 4 basic properties of views.